Revenge films.
My name is Michael. I'm a high school student. One day, my friend Jonathan was being made fun of by the class bully, Kevin, and he was pretty upset about it. You know, I really studied hard for this test and I did my best, but I was only able to get an 83. But then Kevin came over to me and he said, I saw how much you were studying, dude, and yeah, you were only able to get a pathetic 83. How stupid can you be? What a loser! That's none of your business! Stop laughing at me! And apparently, Kevin was picking on Jonathan for his test scores. This guy named Kevin was unfortunately the most brilliant student in the grade, and he always had top scores on every test. However, just because he was the top student didn't make it okay for him to say whatever he wanted to others, especially when it came to this last test. He saw up close just how hard my friend Jonathan was studying, and every recess and break in between class. That's why I couldn't forgive him for it. On top of that, anytime Kevin would find another guy in the class who didn't score well on a test, he would purposely say things like this in front of the girls. Hey, look at this guy and his test score! Can you believe it? He only got a 65! You must really be so stupid! Why is it that you can't even answer such easy test questions? And he was making fun of them in front of the whole class. It was really irritating to me as well, but because I didn't have particularly high test scores either, there wasn't much that I could say back to him. But then one day, we were about to have another big exam. My seat in class was 2 seats behind Kevin's, just behind Jonathan's as well. And that day, I realized that Kevin kept looking over at the answer sheet of the student sitting next to him. I could see his head moving from side to side. What's with that guy? He keeps looking over at the seat next to him. But wait a minute. Could it be that he's actually cheating on the test? From what I could remember, the last time we had a vision test, Kevin had the best vision in the class. With my bad vision, there would be no way that I would be able to look at the answers sheet of the student next to me and cheat, even if I wanted to. But I realized that with Kevin's eyesight, it was definitely possible. However, if I was wrong about this, it would become an even bigger problem. Maybe he was just looking over to the side during the test. Plus, just from this instance, I didn't have any definitive evidence about it either. However, a couple of days later, when the test results came out, Kevin once again went over to make fun of Jonathan. It's so embarrassing that I have to be in the same class as stupid people like you. That test was so easy, and yeah, you couldn't even score 90 on it! You must have the brain of an animal! What a loser! And he was laughing out loud again. I know that Jonathan wasn't exactly the smartest guy in the room, but a guy like Kevin had no right to say such terrible things to him just because he wasn't scoring high on the tests. Every time we had tests in the class, I looked straight at the back of Kevin's head, but I couldn't help but feel like he was looking over at the answer sheet of the student next to him. That was when I decided to come up with a certain little strategy. And this was a strategy to get definitive evidence that Kevin was definitely cheating during all of the tests. Even though Kevin knew my friend Jonathan's test scores, he didn't know what my test scores were, since I was 2 seats behind him, so I decided to use that to my advantage. That was when I started to talk to my friends that Kevin might be cheating on his tests, and I was able to get the help of my classmates to catch him in the act. Oh man, I can't believe you got another perfect score, Michael! You really are amazing! What are you studying? And for how long? It's really not that big of a deal. I'm just reviewing a little bit every single day, and then, just before the test, I always do a practice test, and then you should be fine. If only I could get a perfect score just like that. My life would be so much easier. You must be really smart. I had this conversation with my friend really loudly and made sure that Kevin could hear every word. And then, after that, I went to get the permission of the teacher, and I was able to change seats with the guy sitting next to Kevin, named Thomas, who he was always cheating off of. And then, I nonchalantly said this out loud to my friends that day. You know, recently, my vision has been pretty bad, and it's hard for me to see the words that are written on the chalkboard up front, so I had Thomas change seats with me so I could be closer up. Yeah, I get that. If you can't see the chalkboard, it would be hard to keep up in class. Yeah, exactly. But Thomas apparently has pretty good eyesight, so he was quick to agree. Thanks, Thomas. Right after that conversation, I walked over to Kevin and apologized to him. Sorry to take the seat next to you. Oh, I don't mind at all. Go ahead. And he was very quick to accept letting me sit next to him. I could already imagine that Kevin thought that I was going to be getting perfect scores on the test, and that he would be trying to cheat off of me at the next one. And so, I spent a couple of days taking class as usual from my new seat. And then finally, a test day came around. I could put my plan into action. On that test, I purposely got every single question wrong. And then, a few days later, the teacher passed back all of our tests. The moment they were passed out, from next to me, I heard a loud voice. What the hell is this test score? I heard a cry. Everybody was shocked when they heard it, and so they all peeked over at Kevin's test score.
What? A 0? Kevin got a 0 on a test?
No way! Everybody was shocked, and Kevin was panicking. No! This isn't what it looks like! This isn't my score! This is... As he was trying to come up with an excuse, I decided to chime in. Yeah, that's right. Because that test score is what you got from copying all of the answers from my test, isn't it? When I said that, everybody in the class started to buzz. What the hell are you saying? Stop making stuff up! Making stuff up? I don't think I said anything false. If you think it's a lie, then why don't you all take a look at my test and compare the answers? I grabbed my test and I slammed it directly next to Kevin's test that was on his desk. Look at that! All of the answers. They're the exact same as what I wrote. He's right. All of the answers are exactly the same as Michael's answers.
Oh my gosh, you're right!
This isn't what it looks like! It's some kind of mistake! That's right. And all of the tests until now were some kind of mistake, weren't they? Instead of your own knowledge, you were just looking at Thomas' test answers next to you. Because everybody knows that Thomas is the smartest guy in the class. What? My answers? Thomas was shocked. And when I looked over at Kevin, he was panicking. I'm telling you that you're wrong! And he was yelling at me now. Don't lie! You overheard me and my friend talking that I was getting perfect scores on the tests. And that's why you just went ahead and copied my test exactly as it was, didn't you? But that's unfortunate for you. I don't mean to brag about this, but I've never once gotten a perfect score on a test in my life. You bastard! Were you tricking me? That's so unfair! You're the one who's unfair. Until now, you kept saying terrible things to all of my friends, even though you haven't been able to actually score on a test yourself.
That's right. We can all see it. All you did for the test was copy all of Michael's answers. Now that I know that, before Michael used to sit there, it was all Thomas in that seat. And if you copy off Thomas, of course nobody would get a high score.
All of the other classmates started to speak up, and as the nail in the coffin, the teacher finally stepped in. Kevin, you need to come with me. And Kevin was taken out of the classroom directly to the disciplinary room. This isn't what it looks like! I never cheated! After that, I heard that the school called out both of his parents to discuss the matter with them. And we later heard from one of the students who just happened to walk past the disciplinary room on that day, but apparently, his parents were bright red with anger. I can't believe that you were cheating to get a score on your test! You should be ashamed of yourself! What an embarrassment! Everybody else is studying very hard and taking their tests seriously, and yet, apparently, you were making fun of your classmates for their lower test scores and bullying them! I'm very sorry about that. What are you sorry about, you piece of trash? You kept telling us every single time you got higher grades to give you more of an allowance, or to buy your favorite little action figure. I'm going to confiscate all of that from you! What? Please? No! Anything but that! You got all of that by lying! It's a given that we would be collecting it from you! And all of the money that we gave you, you better work and pay it back yourself! And all of the students that you bullied, you're going to go and apologize to them from your heart! Yeah! After that, on a later date, Kevin was forced to retake the test by himself, and he was also stuck having to pick up a part-time job in order to pay back the money that his parents had given him. Of course, he had to get in front of the class as well, and get down on his knees and apologize to us. I'm very sorry for fooling you all. I swear, I will never cheat again. ever again! And he was apologizing with tears in his eyes. For the record, as for his test results, of course he failed the test. Because Kevin was always cheating on every single test, he thought that he never needed to study in order to get a high score. He had never studied for a single test throughout the entire year, so of course, if he had to retake the test by himself, there's no way that he was going to get any results. When we saw the score that he got, it was such a joke. Well, I was allowed to retake the test as well. I did get into trouble, and the teacher lectured me that even though I was trying to expose somebody cheating, that this wasn't the right way to go about it. After that, Kevin was instantly isolated from the class.
I can't believe you're cheating and making fun of others for their scores. You're seriously the worst. I never want to talk to you again.
Everybody in the class was angry with him, and even after that, he wasn't able to catch up with his studying, and he ended up being held back a year. But he really got what he deserved. Thanks to that, my friends were no longer being made fun of, and for the next test, Jonathan studied even harder than before, and he was finally able to get a 90. Jonathan was in a band as a hobby, and apparently, his parents told him that if he couldn't study, that they wouldn't let him play in the band. But this time, because he was able to get a 90, which was his goal, he's working hard. As for Kevin, his parents confiscated all of his favorite figures from him, and he was devastated. But it's completely different from earning something like my friend did by studying really hard. Even though Kevin is like that, I'm really glad that his parents seemed like decent people. There was a possibility that they could have taken Kevin's side, and then they would have been pretty scary. Kevin was going to have to redo his senior year of high school, and he's probably going to be under more scrutiny from his parents and the teachers. But he did this all to himself.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.